Hey everyone, Dan here. Before I get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are after market close on Friday, December 1st. We're going to take a look at Tell today. So Tell putting in some interesting motions here. We will talk about these levels in a moment. What first caught my attention about it was the simplicity of this, the EMAs. It's putting in a really interesting curl on the EMAs. That 8 getting mighty close to a bullish crossover above the 21, which could then drag the 8 for a bullish crossover through the 34. That said, it is right now, at least the last two candles, showing support over the 8s, and even today showing support over the 21. It is rejecting at the moment right at the 34. That said, it does have this bullish motion, and this initial candle which kicked this off first rejected just shy of the 21. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bearish sign that it's rejecting at the 34 on its first attempt toward it. But this to me looked like a really nice motion. And if you back up this long bedraggled history of Tell and this downturn, you have not really a super similar motion except for here-ish. And even then it's kind of different, and I'll tell you why. So if you look at the motion here, it's not this nice curl that you see here, right? You saw a nice curl here as well, but I'll talk about why these are different. So this one came up and it started to interplay with the 34. That's the similarity I'm talking about, but you didn't get that crossover. You see that right here, the 8 to the 21, the white to the peach. There's no crossover that happened there, and it shrugged off, and then we got a lot more downside after that. So it's kind of a big deal, I think, if this 8 crosses the 21, which it's threatening to do at the moment. But could it do something like this? Certainly. So I don't want to count my chickens. Now, the other thing, this was not too long ago. Looks like more of a similar structure in terms of the curl. But big difference here, obviously, was it never really held support over the 8. It kind of like, got caught wrestling with the 8 here, and it did the same here. It looked like it was trying to get support, but that wick just couldn't substantiate movement above it. And then that rejection came hard on this day, down over 19%, and then it just left it behind, flipped the 8 to resistance. Now here, we see this candle very clearly putting in support right at the 8. And then today, carrying that through to support at the 21, thus further pulling the 8 toward that potential bullish crossover that we talked about that could differentiate this move from this previous move in the coming days ahead. So we'll see what happens, but that's what caught my eye first. We'll talk sort of more about this formation when we flip over here to the think or swim study. So let me get these levels back. So let's talk levels for the moment, and then we'll talk channels and stuff. So I try to keep it relatively simple. The other interesting thing about this motion at this moment is, this downtrend resistance, which kicked off like the beginning of August. It's bumped its head against there, 3-ish times or so, 4 if you want to count that bump. And this is the first real motion up through that downtrend resistance. So to me, that's the most important thing, leaving behind that downtrend resistance. So first it needs to break it, and then it needs to get some distance from it. So whether that means it's going to come up here, continue to make an upward motion, or even a sort of more lackadaisical upward motion, or even sidestep and just get distance from it. That's what I'd be looking for if this is going to be any sort of long-lasting trend neutralization, or maybe the long shot of a reversal. Now levels that I see, if it does dip back down and it needs support, this level down here at 53, there's some more in between here. I didn't want to clutter things too much. There's one right about 60, but the strong one is down here at 53, and then 66, 67, these fractions of pennies sometimes throw me off, but 66, 67 is the nearest in resistance. If it can get through that, 75 on the dot looks interesting to me as a resistance point, and then 85, and then just shy of $1 at about 97. Obviously that if it gets up there, that battle for $1, or that approach to $1 might be quite challenging just because of the psychological factor of it. But those levels look strong to me based on the previous price action. Now, flipping over here to the Think or Swim study, like we said, long-term downtrend here. A few periods where it was trying to neutralize, consolidated a bit, but then pushed down further. And so what's interesting to me here is sort of twofold. One, it made this nice motion into the channel as it had been out of the channel for quite a while, and sort of struggled to get any motion to the mid-range, this bright blue line in the middle, which is what we look for. Finally, it did it, and it happened to do it at the same period at which looks like it might be finally killing off the remaining bearish momentum. I don't know. It sort of did that here, and that was really short-lived. So again, not trying to count chickens, but we also get today our first trigger candle on the TTM squeeze indicator. So last time we got a trigger and a fire was back here, and you see it was mid to upper range of the channel right here, right, as it's triggering, and then it started to move down and it fired, and then that really set off quite a bit of motion from about, 134 or so, and then that fired all the way down through to these lows in the 40s. So obviously huge move there, good call by the indicator. So will it do that again? I don't know. I don't know if it'll, be a good indication by the indicator, or if it'll be sort of a misfire, if you will. But that's extra interesting to me because it's breaking through some key levels here, mostly this downtrend resistance. It's putting in that nice motion that we talked about over the EMAs. And then it's building over the mid-range of the channel while potentially finally killing off that bearish momentum and putting in a trigger candle. So it's an interesting confluence of events. We'll see how it sort of plays out in the days ahead. All right, folks, I hope that you had a good trading week and that you enjoy your weekend. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.